15 days to slow the spread. 15 days to slow the spread. I think we're approaching 180 days here in New York City, starting to get a little bit claustrophobic, a little bit stir crazy here in my 200 square foot apartment. My air conditioning is not performing the way it should. Hot, steamy days in New York, just really leaving me hot, sweaty, and bothered, and not in the way that we all enjoy. So decided to maybe put myself out there. Want to go out on a dinner date. Maybe I can find a young lady who will enjoy a nice meal, maybe a cocktail in a socially distanced, responsible manner. Obviously through outdoor seating, because Mayor de Blasio has said that we are not allowed indoors anymore to eat food because that is dangerous and your safety is of our utmost concern. Anyway, let's tune in here to see a nice young couple going out to enjoy a nice meal. What is going on here? It looks like our couple is waiting for their appetizers to come, and they've been joined by a nice young lady who is shouting demands at them and pointing at them in a way that doesn't look particularly friendly. Now, I could be wrong, but you're probably wondering, what is this young lady demanding of our young couple sitting down and getting ready to enjoy a meal? Well, spoiler alert, she is demanding that they raise their fist up to pledge allegiance to BLM. Now, that seems a little bit interesting to me, that this woman with a mob behind her is demanding that someone comply with her orders. Now, why is that a little bit bizarre? Well, as a person who has their own thoughts, I like to come to ideas and conclusions on my own. And typically the way that works is someone will share with me one of their ideas that they maybe have heard, because people don't have ideas have people. And so you might go ahead and someone might share that idea in front of you. What do? A reasonable person might do some research, gather some facts, and determine whether or not an idea is something they would support or would not support, or maybe, just maybe, there's a nuanced position somewhere in the middle. Now, this woman is demanding that this young couple just blindly pledge allegiance to the BLM movement. And the underlying tone beneath this idea is, if you don't comply, something bad might happen to you. Now, you might think that's unreasonable. Let's continue the tape here. Some more shouting. Looks like relatively assertive behavior, if I'm being generous. And we have a nice little middle finger here. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when someone flips me off, it's not usually to say, hey, man, I have a great idea that you should support. Here's my middle finger so that I can communicate that with my body language. It's typically saying, fuck you to the other person. And if you don't agree to what I'm saying, something bad could potentially happen through an escalation. Obviously, this is problematic, because when you typically share ideas with people, the goal is to persuade them that it's in not only your best interest, but my best interest and everyone else's best interest to agree to what I'm saying because of, and state your evidence, your facts, your logic. And then you allow the person to digest those ideas, facts, and logic, and perhaps they come to the same conclusion that you did. If it's so obvious that everyone should agree to it, this should be a really simple exercise in persuasion. But alas, we have this young woman and the group of people behind her demanding that they pledge allegiance. Now, to the couple's credit, they did not comply. But if we want to see what the face of a coward looks like, we can direct our attention, it should be here any second now, to this little schlep right here. Clearly scared. I don't want to crush this guy too hard, but this is clearly someone who's scared and is just throwing up their fist because they don't want any part of where this could end up going. And again, why is this important? Why should we care? Because similar tactics were used in World War II. I would direct your attention to the Hitler Oath page, which could be an awkward type search query to throw into your box in 2020. But I go ahead and risk my livelihood by doing it, and we can do a little bit of reading on it. Now, for those of you who are not familiar, the Hitler Oath was something that officers and soldiers of the German armed forces were required to submit to between the years of 1934 and 1945. And in short, what it did was it pledged loyalty to Adolf Hitler. And the reason why this was problematic, according to historians, was because it gave the officers and soldiers and people of the German army a psychological element that allowed them to obey orders and do terrible things to other human beings, things like committing war crimes, atrocities, and genocide. This was, in fact, a defense that was used at the Nuremberg trials, where German officers tried to unsuccessfully use that oath as a defense for some of the war crimes that they were charged with. Just blindly pledging support to a movement that you haven't properly researched or fact checked is very, very dangerous, not just for you, but for everyone. You start to blindly follow these movements and not understand what the underlying elements of the movement are. You're taking society down a dangerous path that is going to lead to violence for everyone. Nobody wants violence in this country. I understand you think you're just virtue signaling and getting behind a movement that is going to help, obviously, an underserved African American community. Think it through. It's going down a dangerous path, and don't be this guy, okay? Don't be that guy. Be this dude, okay? In a fucking field of Nazis, be the dude who's not throwing up his arm. Think before you just support a movement, and we'll all get through this together. Sanity will come back, hopefully, before the end of the year. Be safe, everyone.